The Last Golden Tile. Eli had been a Roblox kid forever. His avatar wore the same thrift store hoodie and a crooked cap he'd never bothered to change. Not because he couldn't afford cool cosmetics, but because he liked being the quiet kid who surprised people with skill, not style. He spent afternoons hopping through obbies, testing proof-of-concept maps, and sketching level ideas in a dusty notebook. His username, Pixel Wrench, was whispered about on the developer forums, not for polish, but for persistence. If a jump seemed impossible, Eli would spend hours finding the exact frame to land it. One rainy Tuesday, Eli clicked a link in a private message. It was from a user called Old Map Keeper. The message was simple. Find the last golden tile. Midnight, server 7. Bring friends. Eli should have shrugged it off. Instead, he messaged his best friend Mara, alias Neon Forge, rolled some energy drink into the fridge, and set a reminder for 12. At 11:58 p.m., the world outside his window grew quiet. The moon caught on a single puddle down the street. In the game lobby, a velvet skybox and soft chiptune welcomed the dozen players who had answered the mysterious invite. Old Mapkeeper's place was called The Archive, a sprawling, dim map made of floating shelves, map cases, and lantern light. Every map in the archive seemed to hum with fragments of other games. A warped obby jump from Skystep, the faded sign of a closed tycoon, a distant, distorted piano riff from a music game. Old Mapkeeper's character was a simple grey avatar with an ancient-looking map on his back. He didn't speak in chat. Instead, a golden text floated above his head. To find the last golden tile, you must solve the map's riddle and face the choices. The tile remembers. Eli and Mara mapped out their strategy. They split up. Mara vaulted to the second shelf of the archive, where a maze of rail carts moved like clockwork. Eli descended into the basement, where the air smelled of old code and glitchy textures. The first clue was a line of text engraved on a cracked tile. Not for glory, nor for pay, but for the story you will play. Eli read it 3 times. The tile clue felt like a challenge to do something pure, to create rather than consume. He thought of the recreations and copycats cluttering the front page, of game passes that sold shortcuts instead of skill. He pressed the tile. The floor shifted. A secret staircase opened. The deeper they went, the stranger the archive became. Rooms folded in on themselves. Physics stuttered when the game tried to reconcile an old terrain model with a new lighting engine. Every oddity felt intentional, like a puzzle made by someone who loved Roblox's quirks. Players were tested. Speed challenges that required timing to the frame, logic doors that asked about obscure community lore, and memory trials where you had to replicate a sequence of emotes. At one checkpoint, Eli found a lonely NPC, an old creator avatar named Senna. She sat on a bench and handed him a tiny, pixelated wrench. "Keep building," she said in a voice that sounded like a distant server ping. "The tile chooses builders." Eli tucked the wrench into his inventory. Mara joined him, breathless from a railcart leap. She'd found a pattern of broken tiles that lit up when players cooperated. Together they synchronized jumps, held doors open for other teams, and helped players who had fallen into pits. The archive rewarded that kindness. Hidden doors opened, and a golden path began to glow faintly like a heartbeat. On the 7th floor, the map's gateway sealed them into a single chamber. In the center sat a chessboard of tiles. Each tile carried an icon from Roblox history, a tiny noob cap, a cracked dominus, a music note, a frying pan from an old role-play game. A single tile gleamed with an impossible radiance, the last golden tile. But between them and the tile hung a translucent sign. One may take, many will lose. Players rushed for shortcuts. Some tried to glitch through walls, others spammed emotes to distract the group. Eli watched. He thought of the riddle again. The tile remembers. And he realized it wasn't about winning or collecting a trophy. It was about what you become when you chase something alone. Eli stepped forward and placed his wrench on a grey tile in the corner. "I won't take it for myself," he told Mara. "If the tile remembers, maybe it rewards the reason you tame." Mara nodded. She stepped up and tapped the golden tile, not to snatch it, but to activate it. The room didn't explode. The tile didn't teleport into her inventory. Instead, it shimmered and spilled a warm light that unfurled like a storybook. Holographic scenes rose from the floor, kids laughing in a jam session as they built a community map, a team debugging through the night, a guild of noobs who learned to speedrun a tough obby together. The golden light folded into a simple chest. When the chest opened, it didn't contain a rare hat or thousands of Robux. Inside was a small glowing script file and a note. Share this, teach, remember why we play. Old Mapkeeper's avatar floated down and his golden text changed. The last golden tile chooses not to be a prize, but a promise. It lives in those who build for others. In the following days, players who had been in the archive found small miracles. Community projects received an influx of players who volunteered time. Obscure creators gained followers because bigger studios highlighted their work. And a quiet trend of free learning workshops started on the developer forum. The golden script file turned into a weekend event kit that new developers used to teach friends how to use Studio, optimize scripts, and design fair, joyful games. Eli and Mara opened a small dev channel and taught other kids how to build embraceable obbies and fair monetization. They posted tips, offered to test teammates' levels, and threw tiny jam nights where prizes were heartfelt, constructive feedback, shared checks on bugs that crashed servers, and laughter. Months later, on a rainy Tuesday like the first one, Eli logged in to find a new message from Old Mapkeeper. Well done, Pixel Wrench. Keep the golden tile alive. Eli smiled. He checked the dev channel and saw a flood of posts. A tiny community was growing around the promise the tile had made. The last golden tile hadn't made them rich, and it hadn't banned greed from the platform. But it had reminded them that the best part of Roblox wasn't the shiny hat or the big pay. It was the thing that mattered most to anyone with a keyboard and a stubborn idea. The joy of making something that others could love. And sometimes, when a server lagged, but players still helped each other through a tough jump, Eli would whisper thanks to an old avatar who barely existed anywhere but in legend. The archive remained hidden for those who sought it. The golden tile waited for the next group that'd choose to build together instead of take alone.